Jimmy Kimmel has never been one to shy away from controversy, but this past week has tested him in a way few late-night hosts could ever imagine. Less than 7 days after Jimmy Kimmel Live was abruptly suspended indefinitely, amid outrage over comments he made during a September 15th monologue about the murder of conservative commentator Charlie Kirk, Kimmel returned to television. And when he did, it wasn't with jokes or punchlines. It was with emotion, reflection, and for the first time, a rare glimpse into how fragile the line between comedy and controversy can truly be. Choking back tears, Kimmel addressed his audience directly. "It was never my intention to make light of the murder of a young man," he admitted, his voice trembling. "I don't think there's anything funny about it." The usually sharp and biting comedian laid his defenses down, explaining that his true goal had been the opposite of what many assumed. He hadn't wanted to target a political group or minimize the tragedy, but rather highlight how a disturbed individual had committed a horrific act. Still, he acknowledged the backlash. "To some, my words felt ill-timed, maybe unclear. And for those who think I did point a finger, I understand why you're upset. If the roles were reversed, there's a good chance I'd feel the same way." But while Kimmel was quick to express regret over how his words were perceived, he was far less forgiving toward ABC's decision to suspend his show. "I did not agree with it," he revealed bluntly. "I told them that, and we had many conversations." Still, he admitted he was just one small cog in the massive Disney machine, and when the company reversed its decision 6 days later, Kimmel was grateful to step back onto his stage. "They welcomed me back, and I thanked them for that," he said. Perhaps the most striking part of Kimmel's return was his deep gratitude, not just to his fans, but to people across the spectrum who had spoken up on his behalf. "I've heard from people all over the world this past week. Everyone I've ever met reached out 10 or 11 times, he said with a weary smile. More importantly, he took a moment to thank not only those who agreed with his views, but also those who disagreed yet defended his right to speak. "Maybe most of all, I want to thank the people who don't support my show or what I believe, but support my right to share those beliefs anyway." It was a statement that went beyond late-night comedy. It was about free speech itself. Disney and ABC released their own carefully worded statement, confirming that the pause in production was meant to avoid further inflaming a tense situation at an emotional moment for our country. They called Kimmel's words ill-timed and insensitive, but emphasized that conversations with him during the hiatus had been thoughtful. Still, critics saw the move as a troubling precedent. In fact, support for Kimmel grew quickly, with over 300 entertainment figures, including Jennifer Aniston, Selena Gomez, and Olivia Rodrigo, signing a petition demanding his reinstatement. Their statement compared the silencing of Kimmel to the dark days of the McCarthy era, warning that together, our voices are louder, and together, we will fight to be heard. The controversy had spiraled after FCC Chair Brendan Carr condemned Kimmel's remarks and suggested ABC affiliates could face license challenges, comments many perceived as a thinly veiled threat. Though Carr later denied that interpretation, the damage had been done. The sudden suspension of Jimmy Kimmel Live stunned not only his audience but also his fellow late-night hosts. Stephen Colbert, Seth Meyers, John Oliver, and Jimmy Fallon all rallied around him, with Fallon calling him a decent, funny, and loving guy who didn't deserve to be silenced. For Kimmel, who has spent more than 2 decades behind the late-night desk, the incident was more than just a professional setback. It was a reminder of how volatile the cultural and political climate has become, and how quickly a comedian can find himself at the center of a national storm. Now back on the air, he stands not just as a host making jokes, but as a figure caught in the crossfire of free speech, politics, and public outrage. Whether audiences agree with him or not, one thing is certain: Jimmy Kimmel is not backing down from the conversation. As he himself said on his emotional return, he will never forget those who fought to make sure his voice could still be heard.